Swadee krap and welcome to Thailand News Today, a brand new week. Hope you had a few days off over the long weekend, maybe even the full 4 days. I certainly didn't. I've spent the last 4 days at least down here in Phuket, heading back to the big smoke tonight. In the meantime, it was very busy around Phuket town on the east coast of Phuket over the 4 days. Hopefully some of the traders made a few dollars. Certainly the busiest I've seen it there for, well, at least since the start of the year. But for now, let's get stuck into today's main news stories. The Bank of Thailand is moving forward measures originally planned for the start of next year to the end of this month. The new rules will also require the registration of local and overseas bond investors. Last week, the Bank of Thailand assessed that the Thai baht's recent rapid gains could affect the country's fragile economic recovery. The Thai government has called on the central banks to do its best to use what tools it has at its disposal to restrain the baht to protect exports. The protest headed west yesterday, a smaller but symbolic event. There was also a protest in central Bangkok on Saturday. Fit for the end of a 4-day long weekend, the protest roadshow headed west yesterday to a far western district of Bangkok, an hour's drive from the city centre. It turned into more of a festival than a political rally, where up to 2,000 people gathered. A similar rally was held at the same location by the then pro-government, pro-Thaksin red shirts 1 month before the May 2014 army coup. Meanwhile, Jurassic Park clashed with Thai politics on Saturday. Some students attending Saturday's bad student protest in Bangkok dressed in dinosaur costumes to represent Thailand establishment. The high school-age students joined the calls for the Thai Prime Minister, Prayut Chan-o-cha, to resign and reform of the Thai monarchy. They're also demanding reform of Thailand's education system and an end to sexual abuse and harassment from the teachers and school officials. The next protest will be this Wednesday outside the Royal Household Bureau. That huge ketamine bust last week just outside of Bangkok in the Chachoengsao province, some 11.5 tonnes of ketamine. Well, it turned out it wasn't quite what they thought it was. Originally, drug officials seized 475 bags, each weighing 25 kilograms. 66 of these bags were tested. What was inside the bags wasn't ketamine, as claimed by police, but trisodium phosphate instead. TSP is used as a cleaning agent, lubricant, food additive, stain remover and degreaser. It's certainly not ketamine. The fact that the bags had great big labels saying TSP might have been a big clue that the local drug squad had made a big and embarrassing mistake. The Tourism Authority of Thailand says Phuket has received a 300 million baht boost, with some 54,000 tourists heading to the island over the 4-day long weekend. The average expenditure per visitor was about 5,500 baht, which was higher than the average spend for a Thai tourist to Phuket 2 years ago. Random checks on hotels show that occupancy rates climbed to about 35%, with most guests staying 2 nights. But most of Phuket's hotels still remain closed. Some good tourist numbers were also reported in Chiang Mai, parts of Pattaya, Hua Hin and the northeast. Bangkok, on the other hand, was very quiet. The Bundestag, the German federal parliament, has announced that the Thai king could face challenges in the future if he chooses to conduct affairs of state from the state of Bavaria. Thailand's King Maha Vajiralongkorn could be expelled from Germany if he continues to conduct national business while staying in his Bavarian villa, a popular overseas stay for the Thai monarch. His Majesty the King's long stays in Europe have come under scrutiny and criticism during the current state of pro-democracy protests. The German parliament says that Thailand's King Maha Vajiralongkorn enjoys diplomatic immunity during his extended stays in his Bavarian hotel, but that the state does have the power to expel him from the country if it believes he's conducting affairs affecting Thailand during his extended stays. On November the 1st, during a public audience following a ceremony, His Majesty King Vajiralongkorn described Thailand as the land of compromise, as thousands of people chanted "Long live the King" in front of the Royal Grand Palace. He was responding to a question posed from the crowd by a British Channel 4 journalist. Well, it's certainly been a hot, humid weekend down here in Phuket. Nice to get back to the south, but back to Bangkok tonight. And we'll be back in the office doing Thailand News Today tomorrow. We hope to see you then.